What is up? So glad you're back.
Yeah, welcome.
So now that we've kind of talked about the first pillar of innovation, of leading for transformation, is really productivity, creating the space and clarity around what it is that matters most to you. Now we want to hone what it is we're doing by tending to platform. And platform broadly is all the means by which you share, spread, and communicate what it is you're pumped, jazzed, and excited about.
I love this pillar because it really forces you to dig deep and figure out what's motivating you and how to talk about it. But we also go tactical. Like we just don't leave it there. We talk about how to build a blog, how to build a podcast, how to use digital tools to connect. We also talk about what if you don't have that, right? Like what if it's just a volunteer kind of in-person sort of platform? Like what does that look like? What are the challenges and opportunities you have there? So we really do a kind of a 30,000 foot view of how to work on your message. And then we deep dive into how to implement and use that message on various platforms. And I think that the key thing here is this pillar makes people very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Very, very uncomfortable.
But part of it, I think, is that the moment people hear something like platform, they immediately get like shook and they're like scared, like, oh, does that mean I have to like learn how to use this, or I have to play with this tool, or blah, 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 blah.
Or do I have to post every day, every other hour?
And here's what our commitment is to everyone that works through this, is that we want to help you learn how to use the tools that you need, and not waste time learning and figuring out stuff you don't, because we're confident that like what it is you need, we can work with you, help you figure out what it is. And then we want to equip you just to have the tools you need, because the main thing a platform there is not to like have followers, not have people engage with you. It's actually there so that you can amplify what it is you're doing and connect with the people you need to meet, to empower to stay connected to the people you're serving and leading, so that you can make a difference. That's what it's there for. And we don't need to get hung up on everyone having to like build this giant thing. We actually want to equip you to use the tools so that you succeed at leading where you are.
Yeah, and I think that having a platform is an essential part of being successful in this day and age. And I think that it doesn't have to be complicated. Like it doesn't have to be strenuous. It starts with dialing in your message and then figuring out what medium works best to get that message to the people that you want to serve and connect with. And Tripp, you've done that really well with Homebrewed. I think that, you know, many of the people watching this video have probably come to this video because of Homebrewed. But what are some of the things that Homebrewed has done for you as a platform? Because I know that in your origin story, it wasn't really, you never really intended to even create a podcast, right? Like it was actually a passion of yours that turned into something bigger. So,
I mean, and if you don't know, I run the Homebrewed Christianity podcast. We get 60 to 70,000 unique listeners every month, and it started as a means to share the audio for my pub discussion group at church, and I kind of backed into starting a podcast and realized that I had a platform, but what it came out of was being very clear that one of the things I'm most passionate about is really like raising the bar for theological conversation in the church. I believe there are tons of creative, faithful, critical thinkers in the church that just didn't go to seminary, but if they can get access to the resources, we'll have a more empowered and thoughtful church. And we need that. Like, we don't need a whole bunch of more people like sharing and speaking shallow theology that doesn't even address the questions and crises of our time. And that was what I was passionate about. And through building a podcast and stuff, I've been able to amplify that all the way down to like, you know, now I have a book series about it. I get invited to speak at events and all that kind of stuff. And I've been able to connect with thousands of people who were waiting for someone to do what it is I was actually super passionate about, right? I don't wake up in the morning and go, oh no, I got to read this big theology book so I can talk to them. I'm like, I get to do this, and for some reason, it's part of what I actually do. And so that's kind of like what we want to do for the platform. Yeah. And like even some of the people that have already gone through this, the platforms look so different. Like some it could be like a blog thing, some it could be stuff they're like creating content to help other people that are leaders. Like there's so many different avenues or expressions of it that it's exciting, and that's why I think philosophically that the platform part is not primarily around the gadgets, gizmos, apps, and such. Mm-hmm. It's around clarifying your message, connecting it to your passion, and figuring out how can we help you amplify that.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing to me is that I talk more about persuasion, which makes people very, very, very uncomfortable, but we make sure that we frame it in a way that it's not manipulative. But how do you use your message in a way that's compelling for someone to say, I want to help you with that. I want to join you in that mission. And so it's fun, it's refining, it's challenging. We have a great network that surrounds you in this process that of architects, past, present, and all in between. And you have a strong community group that helps you stay accountable really to this journey, because that 12 weeks will really refine you. The interesting thing too is that you got to get out in front of your message. I mean, you've got to start to speak it out so you get the feedback necessary to refine it. And that's something we'll talk more about in Pillar 3 with the lean startup methodology and how we apply that in this program and iterative processes and that sort of thing. But you really have to be comfortable. So this week, the exercise, or in this video, I want you below here, you're going to see a little comment box. And I want you to tell us, what is the passion that you want to create a platform around? I think that'd be fun. And we will watch for every comment and comment back. Promise.
So Joshua, my example was something that came out of, right, me serving in a community, and they kind of gave permission for me to build what came to be the Homebrewed Christianity podcast.
Right.
What does a platform process of clarifying and really focusing your message and amplifying it look like in a congregation?
So platforms can take many different shapes in a congregation. And I think that a lot of people don't drill down enough to make a platform effective. So for us, when we started out at PPC, we wanted to make sure that we were doing something that actually made real change happen and didn't just make us feel good. And as we looked across Santa Cruz, there's so much need, but we really started to focus on homeless ministry. And I think one of the easy things to do is, as someone who's not homeless, just make assumptions about what homeless people need.
Yeah.
And the things like, this will help you, canned food, and you're just throwing canned food, and you realize, wait a second, maybe that assumes they have a can opener, and that assumes that they have some way of cooking this. So instead, we started out by just having meaningful conversations with people that were around our church in the homeless community. And we did that by just simply walking up and asking if we could pray for people. And the interesting thing about that is prayer helps really get to the root of the pain that someone's experiencing very, very quickly. Because when you ask, how can I pray for you? The response is generally coming from a heartfelt spot. And it's interesting. It's usually not turned away as being evangelical or churchy. It's like, oh, this person's just interested and they're going to spend time communicating and hanging out with me. And so through that process, we actually found that there was a couple different ways that we serve. But one of the coolest ones was that we found that actually clean clothes was something that people really wanted help with. And, we've heard some amazing stories around people who do Laundry Love and that sort of thing. But Laundry Love forces people to come to a place to do laundry. And we actually had, over the course of some months, a relationship formed with a guy who actually created a van that had laundry machines and everything in the van, where we could go to where the homeless people were at in Santa Cruz. If you've been to Santa Cruz, we're a very mountainous, very wooded area, so some people are very much off the grid. But it was fun because we could actually go to them and create relationship where they were at, instead of forcing them to kind of snap into where we were at. Yeah. And I think that what's interesting is that helped us create a much more succinct, focused message on what we were doing that people could get behind. If you keep things really broad, it's hard for people to say, I want to participate in that. I want to help with that. I want to connect with that. Or even the people you're serving, if you're like, we help homeless people, how? Why? What? That's weird. Okay, cool. See you later. That is not a message that gets people to want to engage with you. And so for us, it was this iterative process of having meaningful conversations, of drilling down. So we created a connection point, which was laundry, that didn't force people to come to us, but we could go to them. That then we've learned a bunch of other things. We learned about how to, we've learned things about veterinarian services, because a lot of people in Santa Cruz have dogs and cats, and those dogs and cats need shots and things that they can't afford. So that was another way to bless the community. We found out things around food that, I'm really tired of canned food. I'm really tired of old bread. I'm really, things that, if you're not asking these questions and creating a relationship, you just assume that it's fine. And I think the thing is, a platform is never really done. It's never really complete. It's a journey that, you kind of if you think of a bookends, you're bringing it in and focusing it more and more and more. So it's more impactful. It's more focused. And for us, it's not a challenge for us to find volunteers anymore. It's not a challenge for us to find people who want to support these ministries financially, because they know exactly when they give their time or their financial resources to what they're doing, they know what the outcome's going to be, and they know how it's going to be used. And I think that's one of the things that we really focus on with our messaging in the platform, is getting that clear and not leaving it wide open. But there is, one thing that people have to get comfortable with, which is accountability. Like you are accountable every week now, or whatever your cadence is, to do theological content. So that's one of the things that you got to think about when you're creating a platform is, what do I want to be accountable for? What message do I feel comfortable sticking up for and fighting for? And so again, this is the pillar that most people get really uncomfortable with, but it's good. And I think once you get through this 12-week sequence, you're going to feel not only a sense of confidence around what you're doing, but you're going to start to see momentum build organically behind what you're doing, because people will get it. It'll connect.
And when you're clear about what you're doing, and you are using more of your actual time and energy to do the stuff that you're most passionate about and that your community is most passionate about, then it's not surprising that things begin to grow and flourish.
Yeah.
Because humans like relating to each other and doing awesome stuff. And when more of your time and energy is spent doing that, then amazing things happen.
Yeah. So again, this week, your exercise is to, below this video, share your passion with us. We want to know. We're going to watch. We will comment back. This is going to be fun. Next week, what are we talking about? Or next video, excuse me.
Praxis.
What does that even mean?
Praxis?
You're going to have to find out. That's why.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to have to wait around and find out. All right. Until next video. Peace.